Okay, here's part 2 of our lesson to solve and graph one-step inequalities. Now, I told you we would go over the answers to the questions I gave you in the last one, so let's do that. So number 1 says you need to score at least 30 points to take the lead. Okay, well, a couple things that are important. It says at least 30 points. Okay, so that means I picked a variable, P, for points. Okay, and this at least 30 points means it can be 30 points or more. Okay, so write down the 30. Okay, and then 30 points or more means that this point value here has got to be greater than or equal to 30. Okay, so that would be our inequality statement. Now, there's nothing that really tells you what the letter should be for your variable. Just choose something that represents the situation. Okay, number 2. There are less than 12 hours of daylight each day in winter. Okay, so I chose the variable D, and it says less than 12. Okay, so that number has to be smaller than 12. It can't be equal to 12. It's got to be smaller than 12. So it says there are less than 12 hours, so D is less than 12. Okay. Number 3, the bus seats at most 60 people. Okay, so you can go up to 60, but you can't go to 61 or 62 or 63 because you'd be too full. So again, what I did was I chose P for my variable for people, and it says at most 60, so that would mean that it would be less than or equal to 60. Okay. Number 4, the coupon is good for any item that costs less than $10. Okay, so I use C for coupon, and it's got to be less than $10. Okay, so that would be my inequality. Number 5, a score of at least 92 on the test is considered an A. At least 92. So would 92 be considered an A? Yes, it would. So this score has to be greater than or equal to 92 in order for it to be considered an A. Number 6, the baby weighed more than 7 pounds at birth. Okay, so W for weighed, okay, and 7 pounds. And it says weighed more than 7 pounds, so that would be just greater than. Okay, doesn't say greater than or equal to, just greater than. Victor drives less than 12,000 miles per year. Okay, now it doesn't say that he drives up to 12,000. It says less than 12,000. So V for Victor, the 12,000, and then the less than symbol. Number 8, your waiting time will be 18 minutes or less. Okay, so that means it could be 18 or it could be less than 18. So I did T for time, and it's going to be less than or equal to 18 for it to be true. And then number 9, at least 15 students must sign up for the school trip. Okay, so 15 becomes our minimum. Okay, so the number that has to be greater than 15. So it says at least 15. So at least means that it can be 15 or it can be more than 15. So student, okay, is the S, and that's greater than or equal to 15. Okay, so those are the answers to the reading and writing section. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about graphing. Okay, so let's do that. So we got a couple more definitions. It says an inequality that contains a variable is an algebraic inequality. Please write that statement down. An inequality that contains a variable is called an algebraic inequality. So a value of the variable that makes the inequality true is a solution to the inequality. Okay, so if I gave you 5 is greater than, or x is greater than 5. Okay, so if I gave you the inequality x is greater than 5, what kind of numbers could go inside that x? Could I put a 5 there? No, because then it wouldn't be greater than 5. Could I put a 6? Yes. Could I put a 10? Yes. Could I put a 1? No, because it's not bigger than 5. Okay? Get the idea? That's an algebraic inequality. Okay, and a number that fits, that makes this a true statement, is part of what we call the solution set. Okay, so it says an inequality may have more than one solution. Together, all the solutions are called the solution set. So when you look at this inequality that we did up here, we've got x is greater than 5. Well, we could say 6 is part of that. But I could also say 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and so on. Okay, and all of those numbers are called the solution set of the problem. Okay, you can graph the solutions of an inequality on a number line. If the variable is greater than or less than a number, then the number is indicated with an open circle. Very important. So please write that down. If the variable is greater than or less than a number, then the number is indicated with an open circle. Okay. So let's talk about the open circle. It says this open circle shows that 5 is not a solution. So it starts at 5 but doesn't include 5, and it continues left, or numbers that are greater than 5. Not greater than or equal to 5, but just greater than 5. Now, if the variable is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, in other words, it's got the bar underneath it, a number that, or greater than number, that number is indicated with a closed circle. So if it's just greater than or less than, you're going to have an open circle. But if you have a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, you'll have what we call a closed circle. In other words, the circle will be shaded in. So let's see if we can try some. Okay, so it says graph each inequality. It says n is less than 3. Well, in order for us to do that, we first have to find 3. Okay, so here is our 3, and I'm going to put a circle on it. Now, it says that n is less than 3, so can it be 3? No, and less than means left of. So I'm going to shade to the left, all the way to the end of the graph, okay, and just color in right there on the graph, and then have that 3 be an open circle. B, A is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so this time I'm going to put a circle on negative 4. Now, is it going to be shaded in? Okay, since this has a bar, yes, we are going to close that circle in because it will include the negative 4. And then it says A is going to be greater than negative 4. Well, greater than is the numbers that are to the right of negative 4. Those are the ones that are all greater than negative 4. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay. So it says graph each inequality. P is less than or equal to 2. And then B says E is greater than negative 2. So what I'd like for you to do on your paper is please draw a graph, just like this right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a 2 right in the middle of it. This is what we call a quick graph. Okay, and the bottom one, we're going to draw a graph. And right here in the middle, I'm going to put a negative 2. Okay, now, what a quick graph is I just graph the solution one time, and then I shade one of the directions. So it says P is going to be greater or less than or equal to 2. So I'm going to put a circle on 2, but because of this bar, it's going to close in because it can be 2. And it says I want all values that are less than 2. Okay, so that means all values that are left of 2. B, E is greater than negative 2. Okay, so again, I put the hash mark right there in the middle, and I put a negative 2 on the bottom. Now, what kind of a circle will I get? I'm going to get an open circle this time, and it says E is greater than negative 2. Well, greater than means to the right of, so I would shade all of this side, all the way down to the arrow. Okay, so that is how we graph inequality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do another little activity. Okay, so I'm going to have you write down these 6 questions, and I want you to graph them for me. And you can just do a quick graph. So like this first one, I would draw a number line, and I'd put a 3 right in the middle. Okay, on the second one, I'd draw a number line, and I'd put a 5 right in the middle. Okay, and then that helps you be able to do your graph, and it would be a little quicker just on your paper. So if we had a negative number, you'd do the same exact thing. So right here would be a negative 3. Now, since this is a less than or equal to right here, I'm going to put an open circle, and then I'm going to close it in because it does say less than or equal to. Same thing will happen on number 20. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do is stop the video, okay, and you're going to answer these 6 questions, and you will find out the answers to them in the next video.